Hi, my name is Teresa Tarver.
And I am Isaac Tarver.
And this is the Better Together podcast,
where we, with our life
and all of our experiences, show you why two is definitely better than one. Hi, guys. Welcome to episode 4 of the Better Together podcast. I am Teresa Tarver, and I'm here with my husband, Isaac.
Hey, what's going on, y'all?
We are so glad to be back. 4 episodes in now. You know, we took a mini break, mini sabbatical in between episodes. It's been a lot going on. So it was my birthday, the turn of the year. January just was really blah. We just had to get over that.
Happy New Year, guys.
January hump. I don't know what was happening. It was like, 2019. Okay, 2020 going to be my year. Then January came and it was just like, man, like, did the new decade come in yet? Like, what is really going on? But February was amazing. It was my birthday month. We celebrated Valentine's Day. And so we're glad to be back. And we will definitely be more consistent. We're going to do some housekeeping things. So yeah, birthday month. Excited about that. Thanks for all the birthday wishes, we went to, what did we do? We did like a birthday dinner. I have a twin sister, me and my twin sister. And then my baby took me to Vegas,
We had a good time too.
We got away from the kids, got away from life.
Yeah, and Vegas was pretty good.
Just, relaxed and enjoyed each other. We saw Cirque du Soleil. This was our first show. So it was really exciting and interesting. And now we're back, okay? So y'all know we want to thank y'all so much, everybody that have left a 5-star rating, everyone that has left comments. So if you have not left your 5-star rating, please do so. It helps us to be visible to other viewers or listeners on the platform that you're listening on. So please leave that 5-star rating, comment. We have been getting your questions and topics. So we will be addressing those very soon. Actually, I think we're going to tie in, some of the questions even in today's podcast. So just listen and you'll, hear your answer if you've been asking questions about or surrounding today's topic. So, but if you have any more questions or topic ideas or just want prayer, about marriage, relationship, or really anything in general, because we're prayers. Send your prayer requests, topics.
We're prayers.
I mean, most Christians are prayers, I guess. Maybe not. I don't know. But I don't know what everybody
I think the proper term is intercessors.
So I think that it's a different connotation about intercessors and prayers because,
intercession is just praying for other people.
I know what intercession is, babe, but people, like, the idea of what an intercessor is, like, people
Let's not make it grand. Let's scale it back.
We're prayers. We pray. You know what I'm saying? We're prayers.
We're prayers.
Yes.
Okay,
we're prayers.
We'll be your personal prayer team.
I don't know about that. That's a lot. That's personal prayer team. That's kind of, that's just, I don't know if I want all that responsibility. But we will pray about your prayer requests. If you send them to the Better Together podcast at gmail.com.
Come on, shoot those over.
So we're going to get into today's topic. I'm going to let Bay introduce it and, kick us off.
So with my wife's birthday just passing and all of the beautiful things that we had happen over that good bit, we thought that the best way to get back into the swing of things is with a pretty strong topic, but something that I think you guys will enjoy. The theme of today is help. I married a virgin. So
you're so dramatic, Isaac. The theme is
why you stay trying to? It's all good.
I married a virgin.
I did though. So I think it's a beautiful thing. It can be, somewhat of a minor complication if you don't, know how to approach. But let's get into it. When I married my wife 6 years ago, she had never had sexual experience.
Well, I wouldn't say a sexual. I never had a sexual experience. I never had sexual intercourse.
She had never had sexual intercourse.
Mm-hmm.
She had never had, a man penetrate her vaginally and or anally.
Anywayly,
Anywayly.
let's be clear.
So so she was a virgin. Um, we affectionately call that term being a unicorn. So shout out to all the unicorns out there that are
Woo!
still
Hold
holding
out,
on and maintaining
girl,
their purity.
man.
Someday a man is going to make you very, very, very happy.
Or someday a woman is gonna make you very, very happy because there are men virgins out there in the world. Shout out to all of our male unicorns.
Hold on, brother. Hold on. So so we got married, and as we've stated before, I believe in a past podcast, the church does a good job with telling you, not to explore your sexuality or not to explore your sexual feelings and things of that nature. Pretty much don't have sex. So if they beat that down, in your brain for as many years as we waited, my wife was
24,
24 when we got married. I was 21.
22.
I was 21 going on 22 that year.
Dang,
So that
okay.
was like 20 some odd years of don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Unfortunately, I did not last as long as she did. I lost my virginity around 18, I believe it was 17, 18. So, in her case, it's like, okay, this 20 some odd years of not knowing what the heck to do. So,
Well, you know what reality is? It's 20 plus years of people, or, not people. It was really just the church because society was saying explore,
absolutely.
dive in. So 20 plus years of the church saying ignore those sexual feelings, turn them off. They're bad. They're bad.
Yeah.
From my perspective, I don't know what everybody's experience is. I pray that some people are having a lot more positive experiences with topics around sexuality.
Yeah. It's necessary.
And human nature and virginity, and that your sexual feelings are not bad, but they're to just be preserved. We'll get deeper into that. So yeah, so that was my experience. It was the turn it off. You don't need it, and that's what it was.
And I want to make sure that our stance is perfectly clear. We ourselves don't believe in the whole exploration outside of marriage thing.
No, we do.
Okay.
Not.
I want to make sure that that's clear because I know some sectors would say, both Christian and unchristian, I've heard, some people say, you need to try it out before you marry it and stuff like that. That's not what we, ascribe to.
Not
we don't
at
believe
all.
that to be the case or the way of God. So if you're waiting, wait. If you haven't been waiting, consider taking some time to wait. Because there is a beauty to the purity of coming into understanding sex with your significant other or your spouse. So back to our specific situation. So when we got married, we it was honeymoon time.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, I tried my best. I think from my perspective, knowing how things were. I'd never been with a virgin before, so but I did make sure to try to keep the gentleman-like thing at the forefront of it.
What do you mean by that?
And what I mean by that is, having had been pre-exposed, the natural thing is to try to jump back in where you left off and, go for it. Let's throw up all the positions. Let's throw the legs in the air.
Question.
Let's,
How long had it been? So when we got married, how long had you not had sex at the time that we got married?
When we got married, the last time I had sex was...
Oh, I know. That Easter, that
yeah,
March.
Right.
So
right.
we got married in August.
Because it was 4 months. I had literally, I had just had sex maybe like,
It was 5 months.
Probably
maybe?
5 or so months prior.
Oh. Okay.
So, But like I said, those situations were, because they weren't virgins, it was nothing to get into the
The swing of things.
all of it, if you will. So, the natural thought process is go back to what you haven't been getting, or just jump back in where you left off. But the thing I had to realize was, with this having had been her first time, I can't just go in with the wham bam, thank you, ma'am, if you will. Or, I can't just go in like, oh, turn this over, flip this up, cut this light switch on, turn that light switch off. So I had to make sure that I was willing to take it slowly and not at my pace, but completely 100% at hers. So this can be a bit of a challenge for someone who has had, experience, because on top of me having had my own personal experience, I dealt with a strong bout um, of porn addiction for a long time. So it was like my, understanding of what sex was blown all the way out of whack. I would like to, go on the record to say porn is as fake as any other movie that you will watch. It's created, it's set up to look the way that it looks, and nobody's sexual experience is the way that it is on a porn. Okay? Nobody. And the reason why I know that is because they use so many different things, up to and including tossing the same camera angle in there a couple of times and replaying the same, couple of
Time
seconds
gaps
to
and
make
lapses,
it seem as
yeah.
if this thing is 60 and 30-minute sessions or whatever it may be. So a lot of the stuff is created. It's a created experience for the viewer. So, but if you are exposed to that prior to, sex when you get married, that's what you're thinking, or that's what you're preconditioned for. So you automatically thinking it's got to be this long, and we got to do it this way. If she don't swing off the pole, and if it's this, that, and the third ain't going on, then it's not good sex.
Right. Or I think that even sets you up for like a disappointment. Because
Yeah.
if you have that idea of like, this is how it's going to be, and then it's not like that, it's like, man, this is whack. Because basically got this appetite now from what you saw,
Right.
and now you want it. And when you don't get it, for an hour at a time, it's like, well, this is not what I expected.
So I had to throw that whole thing out. Thank God for, the power of deliverance, because for those who don't know, it's our belief and our stance, and we've seen it work, that the best thing to do, especially if you've been sexually active prior to, is to get deliverance in the area of your sexuality prior to getting married, because it really does clean your palate.
Yeah. And I'll say that's for virgins, that's for non-virgin, because although I was a virgin, I had not had intercourse, I had sexual experiences before I got married. And I think even things like that, like about how a person kisses you or where they touch you, can become preferential. So if, I had come together with Isaac before getting deliverance, and I preferred, okay, if I'm being intimate with somebody, my ex-boyfriend touched me on my left hip and then kissed my neck on the right side. And if I had become accustomed to that and had not cleaned my palate via deliverance, and Isaac didn't do that, it could have set up a comparison. It could have set up some type of disappointment or dissatisfaction in my sexual experience with my spouse if I would have held on to that preference, or if I would have held on to that experience. Now, I know a lot of people, deliverance is a spiritual thing. It works on your soul, yes, but it also works on your body. I would say, and this has been my experience with virgins and non-virgins alike, like muscle memory is real. When you have an experiences, life, trauma, joys, pains, they lodge themselves or settle themselves in our bodies, in our bones, in our DNA, and our muscle memory. So if you're remembering how your ex did it and you with your husband, You need to find yourself some deliverance, allow God to deliver even, yes, your vaginal muscles so that you can enjoy the husband that God blessed you with and not still be craving another man. And that's not just vaginal muscles, that's anything. Because I know I used to have this thing about like being touched on my shoulder a certain way. Like I could literally feel my ex's touch when he wasn't around me. And I looked forward to that. And after I got deliverance, it wasn't a thing for me anymore. So I know a lot of people settle into a space of saying, well, this is just how I am. This is just what I like. Everything that you like or have come to like has been taught to you. So if you have been taught it, you can be untaught it. If you
Absolutely.
can become preferential towards it, you can become preferential against it.
Absolutely. So I want to make sure that we're clear when we say use the term clean your palate. Pretty much what we're saying is you can, like she said, that appetite can literally be removed,
Yes.
or the desire for a certain something to be a certain some way can literally be removed from you through deliverance. We, like I said, we've seen it done. We have, you know, it
Experienced
works.
it.
We've experienced it. We understand and we know that it works. So yeah. So I had to make sure that I was extremely considerate of my wife's body, her feelings, how she felt, her fears or worries, her concerns, if you will, and literally walk her through the experience. So, I knew what was, I knew what was coming. I purposely went and did some, some study just to understand, like, what happens with the body, the vagina, things of that
Like
nature. The
him breaking
purpose,
a hymen or
yes. So,
bleeding and stuff
so
that may happen.
right. So we talk about, let me not say we. When I was coming up, me and my guys, when we talked about virgins or whatever, and breaking the hymen or whatever like that, or vulgar term, but the term we used was busting a cherry, if you will. For us, it was more like a trophy, like you hit a virgin, dang, that's crazy. Did she bleed? Type thing, right? But the goal of I guess in origin, if we're gonna go back a little bit, in origin, the breaking of the hymen and the spilling of the blood, if you will, was synonymous of covenant. Okay, these types of things are important. You'll understand it as we get to where we're going. So, like me understanding that stuff was going to happen, and not necessarily knowing whether she knew she was going to bleed or not, I had to
Of
be
course I knew.
prepared to walk her through like like you bleeding, and it's okay, and it's not something that I'm worried about, because the natural thing is like, oh my God, I bled on you. That's weird. You're not gonna like it no more. Stuff like that. And I'm like, no, I understood this needed to happen. I understand that this was a part of it, and I'm okay with that. Like, and the reason why I said that is because it was 100% my goal in my head to make sure to maintain her comfort with everything that happened in the experience.
And you know what? It's crazy. I mean, because you know that these things happen. Like, okay, I know that, with an intact hymen, I could bleed, I could experience, soreness, some discomfort, all of the possibilities, right? But I just felt so played, like when it really happened. Like, because, I'm taught, save yourself, save yourself, save yourself for marriage, and now it's my honeymoon night and I'm a virgin, and nobody told me that sex had an atmosphere or a smell, or that it was an intoxicating experience. You know what I mean? So it's like you see it on TV, people go into it, and it's like, oh yeah, it done went down, and now you hear it's like nobody talks about how does a virgin feel when, especially if you were like me, and I know this to be a commonality. It's like how you said it's a trophy. I think for the version, it's a point of pride. It's a point of identity. Like you become known, especially when you get up in age, as, oh, Teresa the Virgin. It becomes a piece of your identity. So now, when in a moment, like there's one thing that separates you from this thing that was a part of your identity, and it's not a part of your identity no more, where are you at that space? I think that it's so much more that goes in. So it's almost like you gained, but you lost. Um, I don't think that people, they don't talk about, the if not done the right way, you can feel violated. Like never having had something inside your body. Because when I tell y'all nothing, like I didn't even use tampons until after I lost my virginity. So I had never had anything happening, like in my vagina. So imagine being in that space, and now I'm on the other side of it, and I'm grateful. We had good marriage counseling. We talked about what we wanted the experience to be in depth, and I think that's another thing that has been discouraged. Is like, we engaged people need to talk about sex, not to the
Yeah,
point of where
absolutely.
you talking about, I'm gonna put you on a
I'm gonna do
chandelier,
this to you.
girl. I'm gonna lay it out, girl. Get that oil. I want you to rub it. I want you to wear these purple
Right.
thongs. Y'all ain't got to go there with it, but definitely talk about what you imagine your experience being like, how you want it to be, because if you don't talk about it, you leave everything up to chance.
And in safe space, like our discussions like were done in our marriage counseling. So we were in front of our counselor. This wasn't us just somewhere sitting in the corner,
Right.
exploring what we think sex is going to be like or what we want sex to be like.
Yeah.
Because that could set you up for thoughts and whatever it may be in safe space. If that means you need to get with some of your married
Yeah.
friends
Or
and
accountability
discuss
partners.
these topics and stuff like that, or kind of or whoever to actually start to flush this stuff out so it don't go home with you and you're not sitting up feeling crazy.
Right. Because I feel like the enemy hides in secrecy. So if it's something that's not being talked about, if it's something that's not being discussed, it's all of the what ifs. And I
Yeah.
think that's what, just haunted me for such a long time. Like, what if, I don't know. But I think when we got into marriage counseling and we were able to talk about these things and say, okay, yes, this is okay, this is not okay, or I want it to happen like this. It really helped the whole experience be as beautiful as it was, because we didn't have those what ifs anymore, because we discussed it beforehand.
Right. So I mean, this I want to say this first half or what we've been discussing so far has really been to let the virgin know, hey, prepare yourself, get yourself ready. These are the types of things that are coming, and for those who are handling virgins, to make sure that you are taking your time and really considering them. If y'all are both virgins, then on both sides, really look at it and take the time to really consider each other's space, because this is literally the most invasive thing you're ever going to do in your life. The most invasive thing that you're ever going to do in your life. It's beautiful, but it is a space that you have never shared with anybody else. You know what I'm saying? In any other type of relationship, you don't share this space with your mom and daddy. You don't share this type of space with your friends or whatever. Maybe well, you shouldn't. Well, you don't share. They be out here, saints be doing the most.
I mean,
And you don't share this space with any other type of relationship, mom, dad, siblings, aunties, uncles, family, stuff like that. The people who are close to you, right? You don't share that space with. So this is a person who's come into your life, and y'all are now close, and y'all have a closeness that nobody else has, right? So just be considerate of each other's space. But I want to flip for those of us who are, who were sexually active prior and now have to engage with a man and or a woman who it was a virgin or is a virgin, So what happens is you are in this space in your head where you like, man, I know this was how I was getting down. We was going for it, swing chandeliers. If it could hold up, I'm with it.
I'm just saying,
You getting
miles
your,
on you, huh?
you getting your shower rod on. your surfboard on, all of it. You know what I'm saying? And now all of that stuff comes to a complete halt because this is not the case. And now you're dealing with somebody who is trying to figure out what they like. You're dealing with somebody who is trying to figure out what feels good to them. Where is the height of their pleasure? And for you, it could get like, oh, I already know what make me climax. I was gonna use another term.
Jesus.
I already know what makes me get there. And you could easily be like, oh, okay, cool. Well, I'm gonna just get there.
Yeah.
But the thing is, now you have to, as a spouse, be considerate and hold up. Even sometimes delay your gratification, if you will, to give them a moment to figure out, what am I doing?
But you know what? I wouldn't even say delay your gratification, because if we going back to what we said, at this point, hopefully that you're entering into the covenant of marriage, the virgin and the non-virgin have went through that deliverance process that have allowed them to do away with those preferences. So I think like us, you knew what got you there. You knew what you preferred sexually, but you committed yourself to going into this sexual experience with me and saying, I know what that was, but I am starting fresh. I'm starting from this start point with you, and we're going to find out what works for us, because if it don't work for both of us, then it don't work.
And I understand that. I agree 100%. But I want to for those who have not yet explored deliverance in that way, but are in this situation and have been in a space of frustration because they've been finding their sexual experience to not be what it was that they were looking for.
Okay.
Because they either didn't know they can that deliverance does that or whatever.
Right.
But they found frustration in their marriage because it's like, I know what I had and now I'm dealing with this.
Okay, so that's where you at. Okay, I'm good. I'm good. Tracking.
So. So, the thing that you need to pray most for while preparing, to get yourself deliverance, to, reset your preferences, if you will, is patience. Like, you have to be patient and considerate enough to say, I love you enough that this sexual experience for me is not just about the climax. And now we get into the deeper things of it, because in most cases, when you're pre-exposed, you're taught the goal of sex is to come. And I know, let me not say you are. For me, personally, my understanding of it was, the reason why you do it is so that you can get off. So you look for that. You reach for that point. You go after that point. Right? You do everything that's necessary to get to that place. So like in this place where you are, handling somebody who don't know what it is that they're looking for yet, is still trying to figure those things out.
If you were taught that the goal of sex was climax, what's the reality? Is that the truth?
No, it's not.
So then what is
the goal of sex? The goal of sex is intimacy. The goal of sex is the shared space. The goal of sex has so many other properties, so many other purposes, so many other gifts that you can get out of the experience, and the climax becomes an addition to it. You know what I'm saying?
What do you mean?
There are properties in the sexual exchange between a husband and wife that heals you. Mm-hmm. There are properties in the sexual exchange between a husband and wife that gives you peace. You know what I'm saying? There are if you're doing it correctly and you are are doing it from an intimate space, there are things that you will be able to find out about your spouse that they might have been afraid to tell you, or that brings you into a space of comfort that allows them to be able to open up to you in that new way. You know what I'm saying? It literally, the natural properties of it, which is you opening up to a person, which is you receiving the all of a person, you being literally inside of a person, becomes the spiritual properties as well. You know what I'm saying? It gives room for you to have an exchange of closeness and understanding that you don't, may not necessarily get from a conversation, or may be afraid to talk about originally or whatever.
And something else too, like even in the sexual experience, you can find out something about your spouse that they aren't even aware of yet. Like I know, like after sex with my husband, he would come and have a conversation with me about something that he got from our sexual experience that I hadn't even thought. Like this is like a subconscious thought or subconscious, I guess, fear or concern or whatever I may have been dealing with, and he was able to connect to that space and be made aware of it. And we had a conversation about it, and I wasn't even consciously aware of it yet.
So those types of things, being the understood of what sex can do, it really lifts the burden of, dang, I don't even get to climax the way that I used to,
Now, it
because
is
I gotta
important now.
wait on them to figure themselves out. And then another reason why you need patience is if as a husband or as a wife, you can take the time to help teach them, coach them, and give them give them some type of room to be able to figure this whole thing out and be okay with that. Like there's beauty in the, not necessarily the waiting, but there's beauty in the process of learning, and you should be in that process with them. You should be a part of, helping them to discover their passions sexually, helping them discover, what best fits them, right? So I just wanted to point that out for those who are out there who are, struggling with that or having a hard time with that. You literally become an artist with a blank canvas. Help them paint the picture, and y'all create the beauty of your sexual experience together.
That's good, baby.
So hopefully you got all the help that you needed from this conversation. And, it's been what it is that you need to continue to grow and develop in your sexual experience with your version. Because I'm being blessed by mine. 6 years in, and that thing is going to the moon.
We can't end this podcast like that.
We don't, I wasn't saying we was in it. I was just closing the topic.
You always you have like these talk show host endings. Well, hopefully.
I was just closing topic. I wasn't ending the whole thing. Closing that point. So, what you got to say, baby?
I wanted to address a question.
Babe, do you love my sex?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
I love your sex too, baby.
So, a question. One of the questions that one of our listeners sent in was, "What did you do to prepare for marriage?" And one of the main things that we did was made sure that we had open and honest communication about our sexual expectations. Because although I was a virgin, imagination runs wild. So I had to get rid of, I guess, unrealistic expectations, and also talk about the expectations that were realistic, and just discuss them. So we talked in depth about it. And another thing we did was, I just lost my thought. It was a good thing too.
We made sure to talk about my sexual history.
Yes, that's what I was talking about, bodies.
Yes.
So the question about do you think it's important to talk about
your sexual history, or your body count, if you will, if you want to call it that.
This might be another podcast. Hold on.
So
this we're gonna talk about next.
We will. I think we should table this. But yeah. So I really hope that this thing has really been good for you guys. I'm excited about the next podcast. Babe, why do you love me?
Babe, I love you because you are so considerate, and you keep the car gassed up, and I never have to pump gas, and I really just appreciate that. Because that was like a thing for me, like having to pump gas and like do things like that. The little things that you do for me to make sure that I'm not inconvenienced, I really appreciate it. That's why I love you. Why do you love me?
I love you because you have been willing to allow me to help mold you sexually. You know,
That's good.
we could have been like, no, this is my thing. I'm gonna figure it out on my own. But you weren't that way. You were really open to me, and you allowed me to help walk you through that process, and gave me the ability to experience that. So that's why I love you. And this has been the Better Together podcast with Isaac and
Teresa Tarver
where we, with our life,
and all of our experiences,
show you that two is definitely better than one.
Bye.